If you happen to be a well-known artist that is tasked to carve a much longer iteration of Mount Rushmore featuring some of the greatest ballers in the NBA, who would you pick to be included in your masterpiece? In this video, I'll share with you my personal take on who should deserve a spot on the pantheon of all-time greats in basketball history. In this version of the Great Debate, I consider some basic and logical basketball criteria before you can join the cool kids table. First up, you must be an NBA champion before you can enter the list. Sorry, Barkley, Malone, Stockton, Ewing, and a couple others. The other two categories are the number of awards that you have and your overall contribution to the team. Now that we've got that taken care of, let's get down to business, shall we? Before we continue, please make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so that you never miss a video. Number 10, Tim Duncan. Growing up on the crystalline coasts of the Virgin Islands, Tim Duncan was originally destined to become a world-class swimmer rather than being a five-time NBA champion. It was only when he was in 9th grade and the first time he held a basketball that he totally shifted his focus to playing hoops, because Hurricane Hugo destroyed his Olympic-sized pool and was afraid to train in the vast ocean because wild sharks frequently float around in their area. True story. Though it's not nice to credit a natural catastrophe for someone's success, we have to thank Hurricane Hugo for giving Tim Duncan to the world of basketball. And don't forget about the Sharks, too. The 7-foot big man began his basketball journey as the main anchor down low for Wake Forest University, where he averaged 16.5 points and 12.3 rebounds in 4 years. His solid and consistent output has garnered the attention of the lackluster San Antonio Spurs, and they decided to bet on him in the 1997 NBA Draft as the #1 overall pick. Under the tutelage of Greg Popovich, Duncan thrived in an offensive system that emphasized ball and player movement, as well as promoting a high degree of team basketball like no other. Along with another 7-footer to back him up in the paint, his pairing with the Admiral David Robinson has allowed the young Duncan to grab his first championship in his just second year of playing in 1999. The Twin Tower combination would eventually have its last championship hurrah in 2003 before transitioning into the Big Three era, where he would add 3 more additional trophies to his trophy case, while playing with Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and later on the young Kawhi Leonard. Duncan's play style is not from the game of middle-aged dad bods you would usually notice at your local YMCA gym. Bank shots, hooks, stationary and stiff mid-range jumpers, and more boring bank shots and hooks. Despite how boring and lame Duncan's game was in contrast to his on-court contemporaries' glaring proclivity from showmanship and flair, Duncan stuck to his guns and eventually earned the nickname the Big Fundamental for that. But don't get me wrong, though Timmy's simplistic and methodical approach to the game looked boring to many, it has brought consistently boring results in the stat sheets. Aside from his farewell season, Duncan has consistently averaged double figures in scoring in his 19 years playing for the Spurs. He also averaged not less than 10 rebounds from his rookie year to 2010, which spans for 13 long years. Boring. But kidding aside, Duncan was so great that he would easily put up a double-double in his sleep. He was so consistently great that people tend to overlook the things he achieved because he would just do the same thing year after year. He's a 5-time champion, a 2-time league MVP, a 3-time finals MVP, and a 15-time All-Star with 10 All-NBA first-team selections under his belt. That's not enough to solidify Duncan's case to be a part of this list. I don't know what else will. Number 9, Wilt Chamberlain. When the NBA was building its foundation in the late 60s to the mid-70s, nobody ever thought its newly established core would rock and shake that hard upon the arrival of Wilt Chamberlain. His freakishly menacing physique was way above the player's standards at the time, and Wilt would just dominate the game whenever he stepped on the court. Among the popular feats he had was when he scored 100 points in a single game, which is an unshattered record until today, by the way. And that time where he put up 50 points per game in a single season accompanied with 25 boards per outing. Wilt just threw his weight around the lane unopposed and unchallenged. Putting it in a funnier context, Wilt was the bully that took everyone's sandwich, and none of them could do or say anything about it. Because of his sheer dominating presence, the NBA took matters into their hands and imposed a rule change to widen the lane in order for him to have a bit of a hard time going near the rim. They also tweaked some rules regarding goaltending because Wilt was just a shot-blocking demon back then, swatting everything that went up and cleaning missed shots by slamming them back in. Chamberlain was so great that the NBA had to adjust to his game and not the other way around. He finished his career with 2 NBA championships, 4 MVP trophies, and 13 All-Star appearances. Though some may argue that Wilt could have won a lot more rings if he deferred to his teammates more often, we can't still deny the fact that we won't see another player dominate the game the way he did. Number 8, Bill Russell. You can't put Wilt Chamberlain on the list without mentioning his ultimate rival, Bill Russell. The battle between these two behemoths defined the landscape of the NBA in its formidable years, with Russell coming out on top on most occasions. He was the centerpiece of the Celtics dynasty that won 11 NBA titles in 13 years, making him the only player to ever reach that plateau in the history of the league. Though he was not as much of a scorer compared to his almost equally towering counterpart, Russell would focus his energy and deal damage on the defensive end of the floor, providing much-needed support to the stacked Celtics lineup that featured Sam Jones, Bob Cousy, John Havlicek, and Tommy Heinsohn. Russell was also a 12-time All-Star, a 4-time rebounding champion, and a 5-time MVP award winner. To commemorate his legacy and his contributions to the growth of the league, the NBA renamed the Finals MVP trophy in Russell's honor in 2005. In my opinion, Russell's 11 rings are pretty unsurpassable at this point, and I strongly bet that this will stand the test of time, unless LeBron decides to play till he's 50, I guess. Number 7, Larry Bird. From one Celtic legend to the next, Larry Bird hits the 7th spot on our list of greatest NBA players of all time. After Bill Russell's championship-laden days had come to a close, a new era of basketball greatness ushered in the late 70s when a golden-haired Indiana native suited up for the Celtics named Larry Joe Bird. During his rookie year in 1979, Bird made an immediate impact on the team by making the Celtics an instant contender in the Eastern Conference, where they finished at the top of the pile. Standing at 6'9", Bird redefined the small forward position as he can shoot, dribble, and pass the ball, which was a pretty rare type of player during those days. Embracing the point forward/shooter role, Bird led the Celtics to a championship in his junior year in 1981 and 2 more titles in 1984 and 1986. He was also the first ever 3-time champion of the three-point contest when it was inaugurated back in 1985. Though Bird's name is often echoed with lethal marksmanship and a sweet shooting stroke, he was also a creative passer, a tireless workhorse that drove for loose balls and never hesitated to get his hands dirty. Bird always left his heart on the court and played 110% just to get the W every single night. Aside from being a 3-time champ, Bird was also a 3-time MVP, a 2-time Finals MVP, and a 12-time All-Star. Number 6, Shaquille O'Neal. Great players are not easy to stop. You can contain them and limit their touches, but that's the closest thing that you can get. And when we talk about unstoppable players, Shaq's name undoubtedly comes out on top. Though it might be true that Wilt Chamberlain was one of the unstoppable forces back in the day, he was a true gentleman of the sport who never got pissed when opposing teams tried to hurt him, and he would usually hold back his strength to give his opponents some fighting chance against him. In contrast, Shaq wasn't anywhere near Chamberlain's goody-goody nature. From his rookie year in Orlando to his prime days in LA, Shaq obliterated anyone that stood in his path with no regard for human life. Size, athleticism, rare power, and strength. Shaq was a beast in the paint, and if you were a new kid on the block, he wasn't afraid at all to let you know whose yard it was in. At 7'1" and weighing almost over 300 pounds, there was literally no way you could stop Shaq. Wait, let me correct that. Free throws are the only thing that could stop Shaq. The only chance you had to neutralize this monster was to hack him and send him to the line. And oh, before I forget, there's also another thing that could stop Shaq, and that is himself. Remember the time when he broke and shattered several backboards and deflated some of them? Shaq and the Lakers dominated the new millennium with a three-peat, and the man known as Diesel won another ring with D. Wade and the Heat in 2004. A 3-time Finals MVP winner, Shaq tallied a career average of 23.7 points along with 10.9 rebounds a game. He was also a 2-time scoring champion, a 15-time NBA All-Star, and he's also got an MVP award in his huge bag of accolades. Number 5, Kobe Bryant. Entering halfway on our list is Shaq's partner in crime in downtown LA, Kobe Bryant. As the 13th pick overall in the 1996 draft, Kobe's brash decision in skipping collegiate basketball made a lot of heads turn. But then Lakers GM Jerry West saw potential in the young Kobe like no one else did. Powered with his young legs and crazy athleticism, Kobe made the Lakers a must-see TV with his eye-in-the-sky plays and electrifying dunks. And at that moment, everyone knew that a superstar was about to bud in LA land. Together with Shaq, Kobe gave 3 consecutive championships to the purple and gold, and the Lakers were pretty much the villain in the NBA from 2000 to 2002. On court, the dynamic duo worked as if they were a train on hot steam. Off the court, the relationship between Kobe and Shaq was like the same train that I just mentioned. But this version was derailed, kept rerouting, and was bound to head off elsewhere. Though Kobe's personal relationship with Shaq deteriorated during the tumultuous 04 season, which resulted in Shaq's eventual departure, Kobe still bled purple and gold and continued to play things out with Smush Parker, Kwame Brown, and a bunch of dudes who played cameo roles behind the main actor. Reinforcement finally came in their back-to-back championship runs in 2009 and 2010, with Kobe harnessing and channeling an all-new alter ego, the Black Mamba. Kobe embodied Mamba mentality to a T, and it has since become a basketball creed for the newer generation players, which is all about obsession and mastering one's craft, overcoming obstacles, and winning at all costs. Aside from his 5 rings, he's also a 1-time league MVP, a 4-time All-Star MVP, an 18-time All-Star, and ranks 4th all-time in the NBA's scoring list. Rest easy, Mamba. Number 4, Magic Johnson. The NBA nowadays is filled with hybrid big men who can deliver the ball and score at the same time. But in 1979, NBA teams were structured like a bureaucratic business enterprise that operated based on their designated roles. Point guards could only pass the ball, guards and forwards were in charge of providing offense, while the centers were in the middle to secure rebounds and play tough interior defense. But when Magic Johnson joined the NBA, he defied conventional roles and gave rise to a new basketball position called the point forward. Magic proved to be a matchup problem in his rookie year because he was playing the point guard position while towering over opposing guards at 6'9". He ran and fueled the high-octane Lakers offense like a director of a blockbuster action movie, and he also did it with such unparalleled flamboyance and eye-popping showmanship. He earned the respect of critics when he played as a center in Game 6 of the 1980 Finals due to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's ankle injury that sidelined him throughout the series. Unfazed and determined, the rookie delivered a performance for the ages. 42 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals as the Lakers marched to a 123-107 victory against the Philadelphia 76ers. From then on, Magic and the Lakers dominated the NBA during the entire 80s, winning the crown in 1982, 1985, 1987, and 1988. Magic's individual accolades also spoke about how great of a player he was in his heyday. He's also a 3-time Finals MVP, a 3-time regular season MVP, a 12-time All-Star, and he finished 6th in the all-time rankings for players who registered the most assists in their career. Number 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We cannot wrap up this list without including the greatest scorer in league history, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Tallying 38,387 points in 21 years, the majority of his buckets came from one of the most unguardable shots in the history of basketball, and that is the skyhook. Standing at 7'2" and armed with an elegant weapon that was forged and fortified over countless hard-court battles, the skyhook has become the extension of Abdul-Jabbar, and likewise, Kareem personified this basketball move to form an inseparable bond that complemented each other like peanut butter and jelly. Kareem won his first chip in 1971 when he was still known as Lou Alcindor, playing for the Milwaukee Bucks, and his legacy would grow onwards when he delivered 5 championships along with Magic Johnson for the Los Angeles Lakers. A record of 6 MVPs, Kareem was also selected 19 times as an All-Star, a 2-time Finals MVP winner, and a 10-time member of All-NBA First-Team selection. This is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of his individual achievements, and we'll be running out of time listing them all here. So just type the words Kareem Awards on Google in your spare time if you want to see how great this man actually was. Number 2, LeBron James. Imagine you're a mad scientist concocting a chemical formula to create the greatest basketball player ever with little to no weakness at all in an underground secret lab. If I'm that scientist, I would pick the brains and basketball IQ of Magic Johnson, the raw power and sheer strength of young Charles Barkley, the body size of Karl Malone, the ridiculous hops and athleticism of MJ, and for long-time sustainability and career longevity, I guess I'd have to put all 32 seasons of The Simpsons in that mix. Stirring and meshing all those variables will result in a scientific offspring known as LeBron James. Before he even stepped into the NBA, LeBron was already touted as the chosen one that will carry the torch and fill the void that Michael Jordan left when he retired in 2003. The kid from Akron lived up to the hype, and he has since garnered worldwide attention because of his larger-than-life persona and that undeniable force that he attracts when he sets his foot on the court. After struggling in the early parts of his career, James would eventually find his groove, and since then, his name would become instantly synonymous with winning. For being one of the most well-rooted protagonists in the league, LeBron would turn into a villain in a snap of a finger when he decided to rally along with D-Wade and Chris Bosh and build one of the most feared factions down in South Beach. He would win 2 championships in 4 years with the Heat. But during those times, LeBron flexed his muscles and acted as the gatekeeper in the Eastern Conference, channeling his inner Gandalf and letting everyone know that you shall not pass. In 2016, he redeemed himself, and the prodigal son went back home to give his city its first championship after 52 years in all major sports since the Browns won it in 1964. And the King later delivered another championship while donning the purple and gold since the post-Kobe era. With the unique combination of speed, size, strength, and basketball IQ, LeBron is an impressive basketball specimen like no other. Everything the man touches turns into gold. Put him in a cellar dweller of a team, he'll quickly turn it into an overnight contender. Put him around superstars, who will mesh with them like a seasoned chameleon and bring out the best of them. A 4-time NBA champion, a 4-time league and finals MVP, and a 17-time All-Star, the King continues to lord and reign over the NBA up to this very day. And the scary thing about it, it looks like he's just getting started at age 36. Number 1, Michael Jordan. Let's do a word association game. If I say Tiger Woods, you would say golf. Babe Ruth, you would say baseball. Tom Brady, you say American football. There's absolutely no doubt if I say Michael Jordan, basketball is the first thing that would come to your mind. If your name is tagged along with an entire sport like MJ, it's without question that you are the GOAT of GOATs. The man needs no further introduction. A 6'6" stud out of North Carolina, Michael Jordan stormed out of the gates in his rookie year and brought a different kind of electricity and entertainment that no one had ever seen in league history. Brandishing his crazy athleticism that featured his insane hops and supreme aerial ability, MJ oozed the crowd with his mid-air improvisations paired with his spectacular plays and his serial mentality in hitting clutch baskets. In terms of talent alone, no one was on par with him, and MJ was just operating in a different stratosphere. He barred other great players from winning under his reign of terror like Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Shaq, and more. If Michael didn't retire the first time around to play baseball, I bet Olajuwon and Drexler wouldn't even taste or take a sip of championship champagne in 94 and 95. In one of their playoff matchups, Larry Bird couldn't believe that MJ dropped 63 points on them, and after the game, he told reporters that the man was simply God disguised as Michael Jordan. Reggie Miller, another rival of his, also referred to him as Black Jesus. Miller and the rest of the Pacers couldn't get over the hump, simply known as Michael Jeffrey Jordan. If people have been calling you nicknames with supernatural implications or something to do with deities, it just simply means that you're in the upper echelon of mortal beings. 6-0 in the finals, 6-time finals MVP, 5-time regular season, 14-time NBA All-Star, and a whopping 10-time scoring champion. The long list of individual and team achievements just go on and on for Michael Jordan. Even if LeBron James is now peeking behind his rearview mirror, in my opinion, Michael Jordan is still the GOAT. If you liked the video, please smash the like button and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so that you always get our newest videos.